All right. Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. Pastor Dowell here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to speak about the deportation of the bloodline Hebrew Israelites from Dimona, Israel, by the Ashkenazi so-called Jews of European descent, who actually came into that land about 1948 with the Balfour Agreement, the United States and Great Britain, when they moved the so-called Jews from Germany into the land of Palestine, and then renamed it Israel. And of course, everybody's confused about what Israel is. Israel is, the real true Israelites are people who have been scattered throughout all of the world. And I have firsthand knowledge of what's really truly going on over there, because last Tabernacles, I had a couple of people from Dimona, Israel, who has actually served in the Israeli Defense Force or the Israeli Army. And this country has actually promised that if they would serve in the Israeli Army, then they would get citizenship. Of course, some of them been in there 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years re-enlisting, and they've never, ever obtained citizenship. And of course, I keep telling you that if you've got enemies, they deal with people wisely today. And in dealing with them wisely, I'm not saying that they are wise in their dealings. They're wise in their deceit. They're wise in their cunningness. They're wise in their lies. They're wise in the way that they do things, because the truth is they don't care nothing about the original bloodline Hebrew Israelites that are the true descendants from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. As a matter of fact, you can go look it up online yourself. They clearly tell you the Ashkenazim, or the Ashkenazi Jews that are over there in the land right now, they have no genetic link whatsoever at all with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And it just appalls me how some people even listen to them. But anyway, the deportation has been protested with the Ministry of Interior, and there's an online petition that has been started, and requesting 5,000 signatures. So far, they have over 3,000 signatures, as from the Minister of Interior, to stop the deportation process of Hebrew community members. Some time ago I put out a possibility of starting a GoFundMe, a fundraising campaign on them, and since then I didn't say that I need to speak. I'll speak with clarity, but people started sending offerings for this and to help these people, but then I had to turn around and send them back because I need to get more information. And since then, a lot of people who listens to Pastor Dowell secretly, they have started a GoFundMe campaign and stuff. And of course, everybody's trying to always jump out in front of it, but I need more information. I need more knowledge. I need more understanding in reference to the people and what's really going on. Now, the face of the campaign in Dimona, Israel, is a man by the name of Ashariah Moore, and he is on a TV show called Israeli Survivor. Now, some of the facts that you may not be familiar with: there's a guy by the name of Ben Ami, or Ben Israel. He died at the age of 75 years old. He led black Americans in the migration to Israel, and they were vegans. They were all vegans, and they still are vegans still to this day. They all moved over there in the late 60s, and now we're dealing with 2 or 3 generations later. And of course, if you ever have been there, if you know anything about that area, they lived in the most lowest base part of the country. And of course, in order for you to become an Israeli citizen, you have to renounce Jesus Christ. You have to renounce Yahshua HaMashiach, in order. That's part of the process in order to become an Israeli citizen. Now, if you don't do that, then I assume that deportation is probably going to end up being a possibility. Now, a lot of the people there that I know of, many of them don't believe in Yahshua. And so I don't know what the issue or the trouble is. But they've got it in the Hasorets, and they've got all different types of news articles right here. And I can read you one from April the 28th. And it says, "This is our home. Black Hebrew Israelites in shock after Israel announces deportation plan." The African American group. Now, you know, I don't understand these terminology. I really truly don't get the terminology of people today throwing all these designations on us. It just makes no sense to me. I'm not an African American. I don't have that designation. So, you know, I often ask people, okay, if they give me the designation of African Americans, then what are the white people in this country? Are they just Americans, or are they white Americans? Or are the Hispanic people Mexican Americans, Puerto Rican Americans? You know, all these different Americans. You understand what I mean? Of course, now I got this ad blocker just cutting the fool and carrying on right now. But, you know, these people came to Israel in the late 60s, and the Hasorets is blocking me right now from their site. Isn't that amazing? They are polygynous vegans. Matter of fact, in this headline, it says in Arkansas Online, polygynous vegans ordered to leave Israel. And, you know, every time, no matter what I do, you know, if I'm in Arkansas, I deal with the Gazette, if I deal with anything, they're actually blocking me right now. Why are they blocking me? I don't know. Let me see if this works right here. And let's try to refresh that. But, you know, I really truly don't comprehend and understand a lot of things, because when you're dealing with people, you know, polygyny is old as the earth. It's just a common practice. It's just that when the Gentiles, you know, Jesus said that Jerusalem would be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And guess who's over there right now? If you look at it, these Ashkenazis, you have to go to the Table of Nations over in Genesis 10. You'll see that these people are the Gentiles that Jesus, Yahshua, prophesied about, and they're trodden down Jerusalem until the time comes. It says that dozens of members of the polygamous vegan sect in Israel have received deportation orders from the government. The group spokesman said Monday, despite much of the community having received permanent residency under arrangements with Israel, the community, which numbers around 3,000 people, is comprised of Black Americans whose founders moved to Israel in the 1960s, and believe that they are the descendants of ancient Israelite tribe. I mean, yeah, they believe that. I mean, do the people that's sitting over there now actually lay claim and make claims to something that really, truly, in my personal opinion, that can't even be founded? And they even admit themselves they're not descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So somebody got to be the people. Most live in the southern desert town of Dimona. Prince Emmanuel ben Yehuda, spokesman of the African Hebrew Israelites of Jerusalem, said that the interior minister had given notice to at least 46 families that they must leave the country within 60 days, calling it a shock to the system. The African Hebrew Israelites began arriving in Israel in 1969 following the Ben Carter, a Chicago steelworker who renamed himself Ben Ami, Ben Israel, and claimed to be God's representative on earth. But Israel wasn't sure what to make of the newcomers who arrived on tourist visas, adopted Hebrew names. I can speak so much to this stuff, but, you know, people are not ready for truth. They love religion and being lied to. But anyway, a West African style of dress. The government was unsure whether they qualified for citizenship under the country's law of return. which is granted to almost any Jew who requested it. See, that's the key right there, Jew. I can talk about that left and right too, but anyway, if you want to know more, go on my Patreon channel. You'll find out more. Anyway, the Interior Minister granted many members of the community temporary residency in 1992 and permanent residency status in 2003. Many members studied in Israeli schools and served in the military. And for quite some time, we've had a number of members of our community with different levels of immigration status. Some of us have full citizenship, some taking permanent residency, and some have temporary residency, and some have no status whatsoever, said Ben Yehuda. He said the community has been working for years with Israeli authorities to sort out the legal status of those without permanent residency. The population of the immigration authorities said in a statement in 2003 that 1,200 African Hebrew Israelites were found eligible for residency, and that in the years afterwards the office received other requests from people who were not members of the community. And all those who are not included in the list of community members and didn't meet the criteria received a negative reply in the effect of residing illegally in Israel for a long period and must leave according to the law. The authorities said in a statement, it added that those who had received deportation letters were entitled to appeal. Ben Yehuda said the community would appeal the decision. We're here because we're chosen to be here to build this country and give our energy to the improvement and the betterment of this nation. And so quite a bit disheartening in that respect, he said. And it goes on and on and on. Well, what did I say? Well, first of all, you got all kind of people today. You got people that turn to the east and pray and to the sun and to Jerusalem. And Yahshua even told us that in prophecy that this house is left unto you desolate. And the primary focus of us Israelites that are in exile to Yah on this earth right now, that's us, that's me, and my descendants and people who have been robbed of their language, been robbed of their speech, robbed of their nationality, been in slavery, captivity to many, many different cultures, had everything changed about us, and they're trying to force assimilate us into every single thing. And only one thing, Yah keeps continually giving his Holy Spirit to us and keeps driving us and striving us for truth. And I can tell you right now that if you expect injustice from a people like this, you can forget it. It ain't gonna happen. But let me go back to this article for a second, because there's something in here that I wanted to see here for a second. You're not going to so-called build a country. Now, man can do it, but Yah is going to tear it down. And our focus and our attention, according to Bible prophecy, is we should be looking at the Jerusalem which is above. Because this war-torn city right here has nothing to do whatsoever at all with our condition where we're at right now. And the Most High Yah has prepared a special place for us, not only in his heart, but in prophecy, that when the return comes, the king himself, Yahshua HaMashiach, is going to lead us back over in that land. And there's a great war coming that most people don't want to talk about. People just think today that if you can just ignore talking about certain things because it hurts your feelings or it convicts you, that it's just simply going to make them go away. But you're going to have to deal with them one day, and ignoring things that must take place is not some type of utopia or solstice or even peace in itself. All it is you just kicking the proverbial can down the road to destruction. And most people need to be told that. Just because you ignore the truth doesn't mean that the truth is still not there. And doesn't mean that it's still going to convict. I see a lot of people running away from conviction today. But anyway, don't want to get on here preaching and teaching right now. If you want to know more about this, I'm probably going to talk a little bit more about it in depth on my Patreon channel. I'll let y'all know if I do start a GoFundMe page like I did. And of course, somebody heard me say it, and then they went ahead and jumped the gun. But I got to know a lot about these people. I got to know if these people accept the Messiah as their king. or they're waiting on a Messiah to come. And that's a big difference in me. I'm just not going to just run out there and take up a bunch of money from people who are willing to give to an effort like this, because they're going to be homeless basically. And then come to find out that the people are not even in line with what the true belief of the scriptures are. So anyway, I'll keep you posted. Y'all have a blessed day.